Hello and welcome to the Secret History Living in Your Aquarium. Today we have a very special guest, and that is Yelka Mikolji. And hello, how are you doing, Yelka?
Alexander, I'm so happy to be here. I'm great.
Good. So today we're going to be talking about something, and I figured when I put the title blockchain or anything like that having to do with crypto, that some people would immediately be like, "Oh, it's ruining the environment." I've seen the stuff on it, and yeah, Bitcoin pretty bad. The way it uses, like, I don't know, as much energy as Belgium or something, every day or something. But that's not all the blockchain technologies, and there's different kinds. And a professor from MIT specifically started a new kind to fix a lot of those issues, as well as to work in a fundamentally different way. So I want to hand it over to you maybe and discuss. So first we'll get into just real quickly this whole blockchain thing in case people don't know what we're talking about. And then we'll talk about it, but then we're going to talk about how it applies. But right out of the gates, I just wanted to address the environmental thing, because that's what we're here to do, is to help preserve the environment. So it would be silly to think that people like us did not consider that when we were thinking about this. So I'll hand it over to you, Yelka.
Yeah, I can tell you a little story. Back in January of last year or whereabouts, I got approached because I'm helping Ivan spread his message of conservation. I got approached by some people saying, look into NFTs. People are making millions. And I said, well, I'll look into it. I'm a computer scientist. I'm Ivan's sister. I'm going to look and see what this is all about. So very quickly, I saw that most NFTs were sold in Ethereum. And that wasn't very good for me. So I put it aside for a while, and I said, it will go against our conservation values. But a little while later, a friend of mine who is a technologist and into blockchains sent me an NFT of a guana. And I said, I was surprised because he also cares about the environment. And I said, what is this? He said, I won it in a raffle. And I said, oh, really? And I thought you were against these things because of the environment. And he said, no, this is on the Algorand blockchain. It's different. It's proof of stake instead of proof of work. And it's actually carbon negative, carbon neutral for sure, and working on carbon negative for the negligible amount of electricity that they use. So when I saw that, I said, okay, so I think that I got to research this and I decided that Algorand would be the place that we would start doing our project.
Very cool. So, I mean, if folks are just now tuning in to, Ivan and mostly Yelka's hard work, honestly, and I have kind of teamed up to create a nonprofit called the Green Earth Alliance. And our goal is essentially to, well, it kind of started with Ivan or Yvonne, however you'd like to say. I feel like people all from different parts of the world say it different ways, so I don't want to offend him. But he's got just, decades of beautiful videography, photos, and information about places in the Orinoco that are pretty remote and beautiful and full of just biodiversity of fish and other creatures and plants that just a lot of people don't have any knowledge of, and everyone thinks of the Amazon, and kind of the Orinoco gets overlooked, even though it's this giant ecosystem and river basin. And between that and also myself just having this urge with the channel to think, what could we do to support research and to support conservation and preservation, because I try to donate, like, for instance, all my merch earnings, try to donate that to different groups. I see that Dr. Anthony Mazeral's watching. So, for instance, the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish, like work that they're doing, check them out, by the way. But like places like that, like I'm always looking for things like that, or Project Piaba to donate money to. And I figured once I met Ivan and Yelka, like, hey, why don't we just start delegating, like, interviewing and meeting people that are doing the cool science and the work, and introducing them to people who want to, support that. And maybe I can use the social media platform to amplify the reach a little bit, and team up with other people. And so, I mean, it's been exciting, and we've been kind of working on things behind the scenes and talking about how we want it to unfold. And one aspect of it is definitely that we want to kind of support these micro, we call them micro because they're not massive government funded things, but what scientists are working on in the field. So for instance, in Venezuela, there might be somebody that can't get funding, or the state doesn't have the funding, or the university doesn't, but they only need $1,000 to maybe finish off the research on naming 20 new catfish species, or preserving old artifacts in containers that just needed corks, that were inexpensive. So especially when you work outside of the United States, if you can back work going on in the developing world, or places with a little bit of instability, we kind of want to be that bridge that can match people who want to change things and help the environment with the people who are on the ground doing that. And Ivan definitely is one of those people in Venezuela, which is a really notoriously tricky one if you live in the US to get money and resources back and forth to. So that kind of started our interest in doing this. And now Yelka has kind of introduced me to Algorand, because the idea of, we've been promoting either my art or Ivan's art, other artists that are independent artists that also love fish, love freshwater ecology and the rainforest, or really ecosystems everywhere, whether that's like eelgrass beds, or whatever it may be, salmon. And we wanted to kind of create a little, almost like GoFundMe, I guess would almost be kind of a similar concept of projects that are going on, and people can choose to support them. And hopefully, eventually we'll be able to draw in larger corporate backers and things, and then distribute that to the smaller projects, that sometimes a project will get $1 million, and $1 million disappears really quick in a big institution. But if you give it to a team of scientists that have written up exactly what they need, or one scientist, it can go so much farther. And so that's kind of the ethos behind a lot of what we're doing. But Yelka basically came to me and introduced me to the idea of these, using the blockchain technology, or crypto, the same system that uses or that's used for cryptocurrency, to basically use the artwork and other things. Like we do charity auctions or raffles in the past to raise money with Ivan's art or my art, or whether it might be something like naming a species, or there's all sorts of different incentives we could come up with. But another one where we'd be silly as a nonprofit, where our goal is to help the environment, to be missing out on the digital and the new technological space that is NFTs. And yes, there is hype, there is this buzz about them, and you can say that it's gambling or whatever you want to say about it right now. But like it or not, there are millions of dollars exchanging hands through this, and countries like the Marshall Islands literally just chose Algorand to be their central bank. So there's big institutions implementing these things, and specifically this one, which is environmentally way different than the giant, energy consuming farms that cryptocurrency is known for. And so we wanted to harness some of that and bring it into the nonprofit space. People like the World Wildlife Fund are already doing it as well, and using the same blockchain system. And so you can bet that they've also investigated the implications of this blockchain. But I want to hand it over to you. I feel like I'm just talking here while you're there. But now that we've gotten all the kind of groundwork out of the way, I want to hand it over to you and just kind of see like what are you excited about? What do you want to tell people about today? You know.
Well, Algorand wasn't the only one that I researched, and the World Wildlife Fund is doing their NFT project on the Solana network, and there's Polygon before that. So there's many different ones that blockchains that we can choose that are not going to be that harmful for the environment. What I found when I started researching the Algorand ecosystem is I really liked the people were already kind of predisposed to doing something about the environment. I think it might have been that people were searching for precisely that, and they found Algorand. So I found a lot of like NFT projects that already were giving a percentage of their sales to planting trees or other nonprofits of that type. So I think that they've been nothing but welcoming to our idea. And the idea for the Green Earth Alliance, or GIA, like I like to call it, GIA is creating a vision for a world where people care about conservation of nature and coming together as a group, scientists, the organizations, the common person, the artists, we can't forget the artists, um, because we need to communicate that there is a need for this awareness. And communicating is not a one-way direction. You know, this is what normally happens. An institution just outwardly pushes the information. And the best information is when there's a back and forth, where you can hear back from what you're doing. Is it working? Do people want it? Things like that. And that is basically what I discovered in well, creating community. And a big part of NFTs is creating community and creating it to a point where you actually do some sort of governance. They call them the DAOs, the DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, where you use that in order to determine by a vote what is going to be funded, what is needed for the project, how it's going to advance. So I wanted to invite everybody who is interested in conservation to this new space. And that doesn't mean that we're going to forget about regular fundraising, like a regular GoFundMe. We can do that as well.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that was the other thing, you know, some comments initially when I posted the event, even, you know, were like, oh, I'm out. I don't like this. I'm not into the crypto thing. So I just want to say we're first and foremost, I mean, Ivan is in Venezuela on the ground now. You know, I mean, we have people and we're teaming up with people that are doing this, quote unquote, the old fashioned way. And that is going to be still a foundation of what we do. So it's this is just extending into the cutting edge technology, basically, that and there is some hype, and let's just face it, but we would be silly as a nonprofit that's trying to raise money to fund science and other things to not ride the wave, so to speak, of where things are kind of headed with that. So,
and something that I liked a lot was the idea of recurring revenue. So when you have a GoFundMe, yeah, it's one time or a startup type of crowdfund. The way that these technologies would work, especially the NFT way, would be that if you sell an NFT once, a percentage would be divided between however we decide as a group. But when there are secondary sales and we make sure that the NFT project continues to be viable and there are secondary sales, there's royalties that can go back to the nonprofit over and over again as long as people keep wanting to buy and sell and exchange the NFT. And it's because it's art NFT, there's also an artist that also will receive part of the royalties. So it's not only the conservation organization or project.
Yeah, and you know that's the other piece of this that I really love, and that you know we've been kind of brainstorming and talking about. But the whole idea of the starving artist. I mean, artists traditionally, I feel like it's been split into high art and you've got some patron, and I don't mean Patreon. I mean somebody who's just collecting your art, or several, billionaires that will pay millions and millions. And that's one very, very small percent. And then you've got all the other artists that are kind of just grinding to get by, and also just your people who just are compelled to create art, and it's not necessarily a business thing. But we think it's a cool opportunity with this particular style of funding that, yeah, if it changes hands, and we'll talk about in just a minute what NFTs are, because maybe people watching are like, NFT, I've heard that, but what does that mean? And we'll show you an example of one that I think is cool, just artistically. But let me just say this as a kind of a preface to all of that. This is charitable fundraising. People would be giving money and not getting anything. So the NFT is another incentive to, I mean, like traditionally, people donate and they don't necessarily expect, well, I did that because I'm buying X, Y, or Z. They do it because they're supporting the cause of the organization. And the proof is in the pudding with what we're able to support and change and accomplish. And so, I think that sometimes people are going to get hung up when they look at this and think like, why would I pay for a digital trading card that it's not even real, quote unquote, and I can't hold or whatnot? And it's like, well, it's kind of beyond all of that, because you're giving to charity. Like, just think of it as that. But yet there is an aspect where some people hopefully will be compelled to be involved for investment purposes. Honestly, people use this as a moneymaker right now, and it is risky, and you don't want to encourage quote unquote gambling or whatnot, but people are using it just like stocks and bonds, basically, and using it to hold wealth, build wealth, and then trade as a commodity almost. These digital fractional ownerships of things, or the one of a kind ownership of a specific thing. So
Well,
yeah,
I wanted to say something about that.
yeah,
Definitely, this is not advice for investment. That's number
yes,
one. This
yeah,
is a nonprofit organization, but I don't even see it as charity. I see it as more as creating a perpetual funding machine. So you're
hmm,
investing into the future of most of these organizations or projects. So the viability of them. One of the things that I saw when I first started helping Ivan, I had no idea what Ivan really did. I just knew that he had a YouTube channel, and he was a photographer, and he was doing really well and important things. But once I really got deeper into what his work was, and he works side by side with scientists and uh, research organizations and all of this, and how valuable his work has been, I started noticing different um, problems with the way that everything worked. So I'm a computer scientist, and I try finding the origin of a problem, like what is the source, so that we can fix it. And I was asking Ivan, for example, shoal conservation is one of the organizations that are our partners, and they were created not even 3 years ago, maybe less, just before COVID, to save freshwater species. Um, so we said, oh, that's great, because they were just starting and they were looking for new projects. And I said, we have some projects. We have the reintroduction of the diamond tetra. We have these kind of projects. So another reintroduction of a killifish in Mexico. And he said, we met with some of the leaders in Shoal, and they said, wait a second, these fishes are not listed by the IUCN as critically endangered. We can only, in our charter, we can only work with critically endangered fish. And we said, well, they are critically endangered. And they would say, but not by the IUCN. I
yeah,
said, okay, so then, okay, what do we have to do to get it into the IUCN? We were actually doing the assessments. We were looking over the assessments. But then Ivan said to me, the problem is that some of these species aren't even described. We're losing them and they aren't even described. So what does that mean? I didn't
or
understand what. what
extinct
described
already too, you know.
without ever being described.
Yeah.
So I did not know what being described meant, and it's a whole process of, and you know better than me, a whole process of researching the everything now, even DNA, in order to get what a species is. So I said, how can we then get them to be described? And said, well, there's no money really into it, and it's a lot of time. I said, well, how about we do a crowdfunding of species of fish, and then you get them named. Say an auction for a species, and you get to name it. Um, and we ran that by some people, and they said that's unethical. That's never going to fly. And I kept telling Ivan, we live in unprecedented times. We need unprecedented action. We need to do something drastic. If it's not traditionally done this way, let's do it a different way.
Yeah.
Who are we to say that we got to stick to the rules? So here we are.
Yeah, well, and I think, I mean, I think people should definitely, like, don't trust us, go do the research, you know. But then once, if you come to the same conclusions that we have, then we're here, and the GEA, or Green Earth Alliance, it's really, we're trying to be a touchstone between a bunch of different projects that need help saving our freshwater fish and the ecosystem surrounding them. And so to describe what an NFT is, also, because I guess we kind of breezed over that, but if you're watching and you're like, maybe I've heard that word, but I don't know for
And what is
sure.
the blockchain? What is
What,
blockchain?
yeah, well, and I will let you. You're the computer science expert here, so I will let you describe that better than I will probably butcher it. You know, I have my concept of it, but it's kind of like you know, little monkeys going around with symbols in my head. It's not necessarily accurate.
Well, I am a computer scientist, but I like to say things in simple ways. So, a blockchain is a ledger, and a ledger, you can think of it like an accounting, a row of data. Um, and what makes it special is that in order for something to be written into this row, there has to be a consensus mechanism. And how you reach consensus, it depends on what blockchain it is. But there's many different methods. And the one, usually it requires a lot of people or a lot of electricity, like in the case of Bitcoin and Ethereum, all competing in an algorithm in order to get to a value that then they will be the winners, like a lottery almost.
And it gets
And
increasingly harder to do,
increasingly
so you need
difficult.
more and more computer chips and more, like, it started where you could mine bitcoins and solve these ledgers on a laptop, and maybe you could get one a day, but it would take all your computing power. Now it's like these farms where there's thousands of computers and people are just getting one coin every few days or whatever it may be, you know.
They're
um,
mining it by the volcanoes in
yeah,
Costa Rica
yeah. Iceland too. I saw, you know, just one to
and
keep
El
it cool with
Salvador.
water, and then the geothermal. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Well, but a friend of mine, the same one that showed me the iguana and got me into the Algorand ecosystem, he does it. He says, like, imagine in a neighborhood, all the cars are running all night long and all day long in order to win a lottery. That's how it is. So um, the consensus mechanisms can be different ways, but the thing is that once a row is written, it cannot be changed without everybody agreeing. So it's very difficult for somebody to come in and change. Just changing one part of the consensus wouldn't work, or one little row, because all of the rows have to match between all of the consensus computers. So um, it makes it basically unchangeable. So once you write a row, the next row refers back to that row. And if that row changes, then it doesn't match. So each row builds on top of each other and references back. That's called hash. But anyway, the important thing is that um, once you write something to the blockchain, to change it requires another row that tells you how to change it, and that you can program things like smart contracts. Smart contracts are things that are programs written that direct certain things to happen automatically. For example, if you're buying a house through the blockchain, and in the smart contract it says that the commission goes to this wallet, and the ownership of NFT goes to this other wallet, and all of that distribution, that's all written in the contract. That's also, well, NFTs is an NFT is a file. It's it stands for non-fungible token. And what does non-fungible mean? As I understand it, it's something that is cannot be replaced by something else. So, for example, I can give you a $10 bill, and you can give me back 10 single dollars, and they are fungible. They're one and the same. 10 single dollars or one $10
Correct.
bill.
Yeah.
But if I give you a Mona Lisa,
Yeah.
I cannot give you another thing that's equivalent to it. So non-fungible means it's not exchangeable for something. It's just that one.
Unique. It's worth whatever the market or people say it's worth, which all currency in any major country now is fiat currency. So people will say, oh, well, this is all just funny money or made up, or the value of these. Well, we're living in a day and age where if you have a debit card or a credit card, or you use PayPal, or you have a membership on YouTube, it's all going through digital banking, and it's all funny money. Sorry. so it's real, but
well, if
it's
we
as
really
real
go
as
about what's made up and what's real, everything is made up by humans, really, because language is made up by us, and so is the
exactly.
calendar and time, everything.
Yes. So it's as real as we make it, and we're kind of, taking a little bit of a I don't know if it's a gamble, but I mean, we're taking a little bit of a chance and a little bit of, an adventure as this organization, and saying, let's go into this space. Let's say it is real, and see who bites, see who also agrees that going forward, that the digital space can also help the real world, and some people, if they want to be involved because they want to collect these things and then sell them, and then we get residuals and it funds projects in the future, we're okay with that. But if they want to do it just because they would have backed us at a charity auction at some fancy gala, like a traditional charity thing, or crowdfunding, which a while back, people were blown away by that and thought that's weird and uncouth, to have it open publicly, and to people kind of saw it as groveling, like, can I have money kind of thing. So all these technologies, when they come on board, I feel like have detractors and people who aren't used to them. They're new. So, but I think one of the best things we could do too is, why don't we show them something that someone else is doing that's already worked? Like, are you able to pull
Oh,
up
the only
the?
other thing about NFTs
Oh
is
yeah,
that,
yeah. Go.
or
Sorry. Yeah.
non-fungible tokens, was that they can be any file. It can be a PDF or a JPEG or a GIF or anything like that. So, but yeah, you want to share your screen, or am I?
If you're able to pull it up, since you've got it all saved, the Algoana campaign, I think that would be fun. And I'll make you the solo here.
Let's see what I can share here.
All right, I
I
can.
don't know. Let's see. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep. Yep.
Are we showing Algoana?
Yes, we are.
So here it is. This is the guana that I was shown by my friend, and these are guanas. They're not iguanas. They are from Australia.
Yeah, the Goanna, or as they Goanna. I don't know. Someone in Australia who's watching right now, like GRB, is going to be laughing at us. But so,
and here it is. He's buying trees. So when his initial goal was, for every NFT he would make, he would plant a tree to help the decimated, burned forests of Australia, his native country.
and so essentially we have an artist who's making digital art that doesn't exist physically, but he's basically kind of made it collectible in that he's got his base character, and then there's different rarity levels, and it's as simple as an image. And people who want to say, well, it's just an image, what's that worth? Well, it's going to a good cause, so it's kind of just a symbol, and any money is just a symbol anyways. So I mean, it's something that is, to me, fun and quirky and cool. And we could do something on ours, which we haven't determined yet, but, you know, we could take something like undescribed fish, for instance, and you could buy the photo of that Ivan has that's one of a kind as an NFT, you know, and you would be the person who owns that, and then the money would go to fund the research for naming the fish or describing that fish so it can get protected. But yeah, I think Yelka is the one who showed me this, and I just thought this was very slick and very fun, just kind of fun, you know, whether you want to use it as a profile picture or as an investment. And people are trading these on a secondary market already. Some people are already thinking like, oh, I'm going to make money because it's an NFT, a non-fungible token. It is by design unique, and no one else is going to be able to replicate it. So it is like a piece of art, and it happens to exist digitally right now.
This is the marketplace for Algoana. This is what they're saying. An algo is about $1. So they're saying this Algoana is the cheapest one at $9,000 if you want to buy it now. At the time when they first minted them, there were 1,000 Algorand.
So they've gone up 10,000 or tenfold, but to 10,000 US dollars, basically, these things as art. And, you know, like we just said, some people, they probably don't care necessarily about the art or the story or even the planting the trees. They might be interested into it because they're strictly interested in crypto. And we want to welcome those people, because to us, if they want to help support, you know, funding like what we need to get done in the world and saving the environment, then we'll take their money, honestly, you know. But we'd love it if people who are interested in this space want to get involved and also, you know, be part of the story and be early on, you know, maybe in 10 years when this is, you know, social media at one point seemed new and odd. That light is bugging my camera. But you know, now it's ubiquitous. Now it's everywhere. And some people are like, how can we live without it? You know, I don't write letters like I used to and whatnot, whether you like it or not. But, you know, it's out there. And so I think it's cool to be able to get in on it, so to speak, to have something early on.
People buy NFTs for different reasons. They might like it because of art. There is NFTs that are high art, very good photography, very expensive, you know, gallery type of art.
Yeah, Blippi sold one for $64 million equivalency. That kind of kicked off the whole NFT debate, really, or topic and consciousness in mainstream. I think that's when I first heard about it, anyways. So,
and Algoana is what they call a profile picture NFT, which right now you can use it for your profile picture in social media or in Discord. But eventually, when the metaverse for Algorand is created, which is coming, you can turn it into your actual avatar. So when you wear your goggles, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to be your Algoana of the day or whichever one you want. And that's going to create a whole new marketplace. You know, are these Algoanas going to wear Nike shoes? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sneakers, what T-shirts, what glasses, Oakley glasses, who knows?
And I'm definitely someone who, quite frankly, I think that the metaverse, like it reminds me of SimCity, like the old video game where you were a person, and when they made it online and you could chat with other people, like it seems like just a 3D version of that, and integrating more money and sales and things. So for me personally, it's not the drive to be involved with this, but I know as a computer technology and computer science, well, your whole life basically, it's got to be exciting for you to just see where things are going and the cutting edge of things. But I like that we can come at that from different angles. You know, I kind of tend to not, I tend to avoid those spaces, yet I still think it's cool to see how it unfolds. And the other thing that's neat is that while we're doing all of this, the blockchain that is inherently creating this money through scarcity of or more complex, like, okay, so Bitcoin gets more and more complex, and that's why you need more processing power. When it's diffused, decentralized, like all blockchains are, but when there's not one person kind of holding the power and needing a huge supercomputer to do the computations and things, you're able to also solve problems as a group. And there's other things, like I was just watching it was a MIT video, but they were able to solve all sorts of problems with delivering food aid to countries by using the blockchain processing power, basically by harnessing, 500,000 people on a blockchain network or whatever. And these decentralized things mean that you don't need to trust one another to verify. They are inherently true. I'm going to go off on a tangent here. I'm trying to find that. Yeah, well, so
you don't need
inherently, like with money, like you need to trust that the money is worth something. You need to trust that the person you're going to buy it from is going to give you the money when you get the thing. And blockchain technology was kind of developed initially for proving that, whether it be a journalist undercover needs to get money from their government but can't go through real channels, that are established, or honestly, the black market and Silk Road and all those things were early on 10 years ago, a decade ago, what cryptocurrency and the blockchain were being used for. But now it's not just creating money and things. It's actually these new cryptocurrencies are actually trying to solve problems, is what I'm trying to say. And they're using this new style of technology, which was computer theory in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, about how you don't need to actually both parties don't need to trust each other when everybody is watching, so to speak, on the digital ecosystem of the money. So when you see the transaction happens, it's there permanently. But we can use this.
Well, not only that, the smart contract guides how it's gonna be split. So you don't need to trust the other person. The program, you can all see it, and it's gonna distribute it the way that it says. So yeah.
And I think the other thing is, sometimes the one thing that has been an issue is when these anonymous currencies get developed. Honestly, Bitcoin was like that originally. And then you get people who hold wallet sites or exchanges, and they do a pull the rug from under everybody. That really was the danger for a lot of these markets. But this one in particular, I mean, it's a professor from MIT who's publicly out there and known as a computer science, expert, that was like, let's try to not ruin the environment. Let's try to do this a different way that doesn't require supercomputers all over the place. And, let's kind of flip the blockchain methods from the past on their head a little bit. And so I just think that it's a really interesting system, and this one in particular is very transparent compared to some of the other ones that have just kind of popped up, and you're like, I don't know who made it. Like, what are they doing? What's secretly written into the script somewhere, or who has an override code to something? Like, this is very clearly like, guy lives in the US, he's, who he is. And it was done with the backing of MIT resources. So to me, that's a big peace of mind, and also why, I think I was like gung ho when Yelka introduced me to this concept, and I started looking into it last, little bit. So
I just
Yelka,
heard about a project that they're actually doing both blockchain and in real life. For example, they're raising money to buy a huge piece of land in the Brazilian Amazon. And at the same time, you get a similar piece of land. If you help them buy it, you'll get a similar piece of land in the metaverse. So
ah,
it's a game, and it's a game that teaches you about ecosystems and how they work together. And that as you play the game on your metaverse, you're also creating the possibility for scientists in the field to do the work in the real life.
yeah, I think that's what's really interesting is that, on we the way this could work is, in right now, you say you're playing like a popular game like World of Warcraft or something, and you're buying these items, and people now it's become a standard that you buy with real money digital items in games to make your life easier, or to have a certain skin, or for social status on this socially active game. Well, why not make it so that that money, rather than going to the game developer or whatever, why not make it so that it reflects the real world and really goes to helping something? So in the metaverse, you buy this or that, and instead it's saving. That money gets saved, and then also along the way, I mean, we could also do things like with this new technologies, we could do write up a contract to the extent of, maybe there's a sustainable fish farm in Venezuela or something that's making ornamental fish that they're learning to use aquaculture, like Anthony Mazeral, Dr. Mazeral's doing right now in Peru. He's teaching the local folks how in the off season to grow and keep ornamental fish so that they don't just all die in storage tanks, or there's not this boom and bust, feast or famine, and like no way to make money. Well, with this, it's both through the residuals or through contracts. We could also say that, the scientists, the artists who make whatever the token is or whatever the thing is, and the nonprofit, and we can divvy it up however we want, which is really neat. And then it becomes a perpetual system that exists outside of our nonprofit. You don't have to trust our nonprofit even necessarily. It becomes part of the blockchain ecosystem, and can take on another life of its own. And so that piece of it's pretty exciting to me,
Yeah, and we
definitely.
want to make it so that the people coming in or the projects that are coming in, they don't need to know anything about blockchain or NFTs or anything.
No, yeah, definitely not.
That
Uh,
part is transparent.
yeah, and I think in the end, I mean, if you want to look at it, it's we're going to try to do this, and if you want to do a deep dive and get involved with all that stuff, great. Like, we welcome you, and we'd love you to come on board. We've got a Discord that Yelka set up that there's a link to in the description below, and we would, if you're interested in supporting this nonprofit or developing something or being an artist, or you've got a project and you're a scientist or a biologist or a grad student, whatever it may be, if you feel like you can contribute something, or you would like to just watch this unfold, we would really love. I mean, that's what today's video is really about too, is we want to invite you to come help us shape the direction that this takes. If somebody sent us something that said, hey, all of a sudden, here's solid proof, peer-reviewed academic journal that says this isn't good for one reason or another, or this or that, we'll shift courses. I mean, we're a nimble organization at this point, you know what I mean? So it's just a couple of us, and we really truly want to do a lot with a little without a huge bureaucracy. And this helps us do that, honestly. You don't have to pay 40% to an auction house, or to, booking a venue, doing this, doing, all the things that go into raising money traditionally. This really kind of circumvents a lot of that. And so
And it's really for the power of community. I heard this a lot from NFT people before I got in. I said, oh, they do it because of the community. And I said, well, what does that really mean? And really, when I got into the research of getting into a lot of different discords and seeing what the dynamics was, what I really think is that it doesn't have to be blockchain. It's just the power of community getting together for a specific goal, and the goal is to make sure that these uh, nonprofits or projects that have to do with ecosystem and nature get the funding that they need. And people will get together in the Discord and meet where they would have never met, and help each other with each other's projects in ways that we would never have thought if we wouldn't have created this community. And like I said, it doesn't all have to be blockchain. It can be just work in real life where scientists don't even know that another scientist is working in the same project that they are until much later. So why not create a community where you can find out who's working right now on this and this type of project? Um,
That's beautifully put. Yeah, so many times I meet someone, or for instance, just Dr. Mazerol and I talk about something, and it happens to, line up so well with what we are doing. With Ivan, Yelka, and I are doing on our end of things, and we haven't been talking, we haven't been saying, hey, let's do the same thing or anything, but it just lines up well. And that probably Project Piaba, probably these, there's all these people that have similar goals, similar concepts, and we can take the best of all those. We really just want to, build that community. And even if you don't want to contribute to the nonprofit as far as money, if you don't have the resources right now, just get involved with the community. I mean, and it's also, we need people to do things like create the art or create projects for us to do to fund. So if you have something and you're in academia, or you're a scientist, or even just a concerned citizen, honestly, if you want to organize it well enough, and the crowd, hopefully, we want to kind of believe in the wisdom of a well-informed crowd, that by using these technologies, by being in this space, by being on this channel, which is a nerdy YouTube channel, we'll just say it, it kind of self-selects folks that are a little bit different crowd than your typical YouTube watching crowd. And so we're hoping by doing that, and the other and following these other leads and other people that we know in the community, in the scientific community, and in the aquaria hobby, that we can build a bridge between home aquaria and people who want to help with conservation and discovery, and also the people on the ground doing the work. And I guess that's the bottom line.
That's why we called it the Green Earth Alliance. It's an alliance of everybody. It's an alliance of all the scientists, of all the technologists, the artists, the collectors, the citizen scientists.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's what's incredible about the internet and crowdfunding and things like that. I mean, we have these tools now that didn't exist 30, 40 years ago whatsoever. And it's making things possible where somebody with a passion and the urge to inform themselves and others and get involved can, like you said, a citizen scientist can really be just as valid as a person with a PhD. No offense, doctor. I know you're watching. I mean, nothing replaces that good old academic education and years of work. But I'm just saying that change in the world is not required. It's not prerequisite to have a degree to do that.
A citizen scientist with an idea can then be in contact through the alliance with a scientist that will help them or make them think about something that they hadn't thought.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe we'll have someone in here who's just interested in technology and is like, hey, I have an idea of how we could facilitate getting the money down there. Or I have an idea of how we can more efficiently communicate by using this web app or tool. So, I mean, we really want to open it up to any innovation that at its heart supports conservation, preservation, and discovery in these fields.
We've been doing fundraising for conservation the typical way for decades and decades, and it's always had perpetual underfunding.
Yeah.
So how about this? We're going to create something that will keep on giving as time goes on.
Yeah, and Master Aquatics, I just noticed, Call Me Eduardo says, exactly, sharing the knowledge of similar projects creates the community and fosters a commonality that can be achieved. Yeah, exactly. Right on. And also, Dr. Mazarel says, offense taken.
Yeah, if he joins, then he can set them straight.
Yeah, that's right. He told me he's watching so that he can correct me, is why he's in my live streams. Yeah.
I would love that. I would love the Discord to be full of scientists and full of people that want to help.
Oh, totally. I mean, and that's been, I mean, historically, there's been such a disconnect between hardcore hobbyists, scientists, and I don't know, just the other people that can make things happen that need to happen. And I feel like now, especially since COVID and things, people from home have been exploring these spaces online and meeting and making connections that maybe they wouldn't have made otherwise. And so I think it is a bit of a silver lining that that these networks are forming. And like I said, we've got a link to the Discord, and if you want to be involved, you can go to the website and sign up for updates and things like that. But most of all, right now, we want to build that Discord community. And I will most likely be, I'm telling Yelka this now, setting up a Discord for this channel, because so many people have been saying, set up a Discord for about a year now. It was just another thing that I didn't want to have to manage. But if we can truly make it a community thing where it kind of runs itself, because people who want to get something out of it manage, you know, maybe you're interested in catfish, so it's all catfish research under your control, like, and you can handle all that, then that's great. You know, it's just, I can't run all the nuanced pieces of it. You know, no one can, honestly, with how big of subject matter it turns into. But I think I'm going to do that under this subheading on Discord rather than, you know, starting from scratch with something on my own. I'd like to tie it into this community here. So
yeah, so come to Gia and we'll set you up a section just for everybody who's here in the secret history.
And yeah, and so do we have questions from the audience? I feel like tonight we have extremely low turnout, which is odd. Like, where is everybody? You know what I mean? Hopefully in the replays, it usually all evens out. But it's, I don't know, maybe my little counter's wrong, but I'm showing that we have 49 people in here. Usually we've got like 100 and some. So I'm curious, what am I forgetting, or who's streaming right now in the fish community that I'm missing the puzzle piece. But yeah, do we have any questions from folks? And thanks for joining us, folks. Thanks for spending your time here.
Oh, I see people from Brazil, Manaus. That's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the other thing, is we want people from all over the world involved in this. If you see a problem or something that you can fix where you're at, and you're in the Philippines, you're in India, you're in Canada, get involved. Oh, Aquarium Co-op is live too. Xanadudu, that's what it is.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah,
but I was going to ask if does anybody here know of a project that they would like to mention?
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Hey, Lori, thanks for posting all those links. You rock. You really do, my mods. And then also, Lisa, what's up? How's it going? Welcome. Good to see you here. But so basically, to sum up, in case you're joining us now, we have with our nonprofit, the Green Earth Alliance, we have wanted the last year or so to team up. Ivan Mikolji, Yelka, and I. You may have seen Ivan's YouTube work and his beautiful cinematography of the Orinoco Delta and filming in the wild. I mean, really, that was missing from a few YouTubers have gone down to the Amazon or the Orinoco for a long time, or I mean, haven't gone down there for a long time. But Ivan has been making content for like a decade of his adventures and his work and the beautiful stuff he's created down there on site in Venezuela. And I feel like a lot of us were really curious, where do our fish come from? What does it look like where they live? Like, how can we replicate what they live in and their ecosystems, and what other fish are with them and what plants are with them? And he's answered a lot of those questions, as well as his book, which is just beautiful consolidation of that work.
I can tell you some of the projects that we would like funded.
Yeah,
At
let's
least
talk
from the
about some of our
Mikolji side.
yeah. Let's
Maybe
talk
I can
about
share
that.
my screen a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Let's pull that up. So,
share screen.
but if you're just joining us now, we're still doing the traditional funding of things through nonprofit, crowdfunding or charity auctions or donations or grants or anything that we can get that works, as long as it can help us get these things accomplished. But at the same time, we want to move into this new space of also inviting those in the tech side of things and on the cutting edge of computing to get involved. And if you missed it, go investigate Algorand yourself and see that it is carbon neutral, as in they're not using the resources that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of the other blockchains are. It works fundamentally different, but now there's a new wave of Bitcoin and, if you're interested in NFTs and one-of-a-kind digital goods or investments or keepsakes, whatever you want to call them, it's just an icing on the cake of something that you can get to be a part of the community, something to represent that you supported the project as you stay engaged on Discord or on, our site or whatever it may be. And we really are just looking for more projects to fund and more people who want to fund them. Those are the two things. We want to connect those people, build the community. And this right now, I'll shut up, is what Yelka is going to highlight what we already have going on as projects. So,
okay, we have other projects. These are just some Mikolji projects that we're doing.
Yeah.
This one is the taxonomic catalog of type specimens in fish collections of Venezuela. So we have several museums that have all these type specimens. They've never been digitized. They've never been photographed. We don't know if somebody wants to know what species are in the Orinoco. We wouldn't know because they haven't been digitized. So that's number one in our list, so that everybody in the world can have access to the digitized collection.
And so, I mean, just for a sense of scale here, like, how much do you think that would cost? Like, have we broken that down on the what is needed to get that done?
It's going to be about $5,000
to
spend on doing that,
which is a lot to a lot of us, but to corporate corporate backers or honestly, in a lot of the cryptocurrency spaces, that money can be raised very quickly, and so we don't want to say that we don't, like, every dollar always counts, and we
it's 1,000
welcome
people pitching in $5.
Exactly. So the more community we build and the more interest in these things, the better we can fund them. So.
This is the Diamond Tetra reintroduction project. The Diamond Tetra, we had a natural disaster where it rained for 2 weeks straight and the side of a mountain just cleaved, and all the Diamond Tetras were well, they went down the stream, and now there's a natural barrier. They cannot go back up to where their original home was. So we want to do the reintroduction of the diamond tetra up in the area where they were, which is a national park.
I'm gonna let you keep explaining this. It's my surgeon, of course. All
Okay,
right,
okay,
I'll be
okay,
right. I'll be right
okay.
back. Sorry.
Then describe a new species of
Hello.
piranha. That's another project. Um, this one's interesting. Using AI to count juvenile herrings in Plymouth, Massachusetts. So in Plymouth, they have herring is very important fish. It migrates, and they don't have any problems counting them as they're going upriver because they're large and they're gonna go lay eggs. And then in the later on, when the juveniles come down, they're so tiny and they're so erratic and they go forwards and backwards, and you can't really count them. So we're trying to train an AI to count them properly to know if the populations are increasing, if fish ladders that have been installed are working properly. And this is a Mexico killifish reintroduction of Oaxaca, Mexico, that is threatened. Uh, Other projects that we are working with is, let's see, shoal conservation. Let me see if I can go there. Yeah, shoal, I mentioned them before, has this project in search for the lost fishes. And they have the next fish that they're trying to find. These are fishes that have been that are feared extinct, but we're looking for them. And the next one that we're trying to get is the fat catfish from Colombia. And these are 10 species that are, by the IUCN, have been determined to be very important and lost. We don't know if they still are alive. So that's another project. And then here is our Discord. This is what you're going to see when you come into our Discord server. So basically, what I said before, that the Green Earth Alliance is aiming to create a society that focuses on the importance of the conservation of our ecosystems. And how we're going to do that? By creating awareness. And awareness requires communication, but not only a one-way communication, a multiple way communication. That's where the artists, scientists, technologies all come alive. Um, Here's, for example, the areas, the Mikolji area, the Shoal area, where we can talk about different things. These are different artists that are working with Shoal to do, they were part of the Lost Fishes Challenge. So they're cute. Um, Then, for example, Green Planet Waterways. This is an interesting one. They're creating vessels, autonomous vessels, to clean the Biscayne Bay of Miami. So they're gonna have swarm robotics and filters on this vessel that will clean the water, chill it, and when the conditions are finally right, they're gonna plant seagrass. Because last year, 1,000 manatees died in Florida because they couldn't find enough seagrass to eat. They're even eating the roots. That's how hungry they are. So, in order to prevent this, this is happening because of many reasons, mainly contamination. Uh, the the turbidity of the water is so high that the sun rays don't hit the plants like they used to be. So, and this is caused by too many nutrients in the water that causes blue-green algae that then decomposes when it's a freshwater species of algae that when it touches the salt water of the bay, their cells degrade and it creates a toxin that kills the fishes. And also then robs the water of oxygens. We had a massive fish kill here in Miami. That's where I am, in August of a year ago. And that was because they measured the water oxygen and it was zero because of the cyanobacteria from the algae. We have Lily Ichthyology right now who joined our server. She's part of, well, she's a student and she has a database that she's working to connect hobbyists with research organizations to further conservation. So if you're in the hobby and you have a fish in your home that is threatened, you can sign up in her database. She'll give you tips about how to take care of it properly. If you ever need to move or anything like that and you have to find a new home for your fish, she will tell you who else would be interested or who has the experience caring for these fishes. So that's a wonderful project. It's basically a database. She's working on the video and she's going to have an app. Mikolji also wants to create an app for the question that people ask Ivan the most is, I'm trying to create a biotope aquarium of X river. What fish goes with that, with what fish, and what plant goes in there, and what substrate is it? So we want to create that app. We have the marine chat where we're going to be talking about getting salty and the projects that work on that. And of course, we can't forget the plants. Let's see, let me go back to where I was so I can see you. There we go. So what else can I tell you? Yeah, so that is very interesting. The problem, for example, in Miami, because people want a green lawn, they put a lot of chemicals in the water, not realizing that that has an effect at the end that will be you're killing the manatees. You have to help them connect these dots. And how do you do that? You have to do it through communication. Because what happens? You put the fertilizer in the lawn, and then the rains come and it goes directly into our canals. Then the canals are full with fertilizers, and in Florida at least, there's a whole canal system where the water management district controls the flow of the water. And because most of the time the waters are lentic, they're stopped. They grow a lot of algae, and it's not cleaned at that point. We're also having the problem of saltwater intrusion from sea level rise from underneath. We live on a type of rock that is very porous. So in order to control the sea level, the sea intrusion, you have to release fresh water into the bay every once in a while. And also because Miami is growing so fast, there's a need for fresh water to drink. They're depleting the water table, which is then causes that the freshwater springs that were coming into the bay and helping clear the water and the plants, they can't survive. So it's a snowballing effect, and we have problems like this everywhere. Another problem I see a lot is oh, here you are. It's not so easy to be a moderator.
I am so sorry.
Right
Yeah. Sorry, that was I've got the spine surgery that was scheduled for Thursday, and due to the madness that is the world, they just called me to tell me it's now next Thursday, and I was like, well, okay, what time? We don't know. So it's been a fun process. So in my head, I was like ready for 2 days from now. Like, okay, I'm gonna have spine surgery, and then now it's like, okay, well, a week from now, I'm gonna have spine. They're toying with my emotions.
They are.
Yes, but sorry about that. I would have never left you usually.
Telling them about the problems we're having here in Miami, Biscayne Bay, with pollution and the manatees and green algae and sea level rise and
the fact that you have every ecosystem in the world represented living in your waterways, like fish wise, you've got cichlids and I don't know. So somebody found a Paraíba, I think they said, but they thought it was a one-off pet. They don't think they're breeding or anything. But I thought that was like, whoa, you know.
People are asking for the Discord link. It's down in the description, right?
Yeah, where is our moderator
It's
that
in the
usually?
aquatic co-op live.
Yeah, hold on. Let me. I can pull it up here and post the link too again, because it's in the description. But I understand when you're in chat live, like YouTube, I don't know why they haven't fixed that, but they make it so difficult so that you can't hit the like button while you're in the chat mode and stuff. Like they laid it out very poorly. Let's see here.
I can do that too. Yeah, so I'm sure all of you know some type of project. One of the things that we want to also spread the word is about, what are your rivers? What is your closest body of water? Where does it start? Where does it end? Does it have barriers? How polluted is it? Is it clear or is it not?
Yeah,
Most people don't realize that 97% of all the water in the world is ocean, salt water. 3% is fresh water. Out of that 3%, 2% are frozen at the poles. So
wow.
all of humanity and the land animals depend on 1% of all the water on Earth. And we haven't been really good steward of our water.
No,
So
we've kind of said, how can we make money off of this? You know, industrially, historically, and and we still continue to do things like send the rights off to fresh water to Nestle's bottled water company instead of preserving it or whatnot. You know, we do these things that boggle my mind as a country sometimes. All right, so I pinned the Discord link.
and another thing about art, of course, we got to have your art in there, and we're going to have Ivan's art in there, and other artists as well. Some organizations might know their own artists that they like, so you can bring your own. It's also going to be a marketplace where you can see other artists that are working on conservation.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're doing something that has to do with nature, art, conservation, definitely get involved with us. I mean, from whatever angle you want to come get involved, whether it's you're a tech person, you're a finance person, or you're a biologist or a grad student, or you're just curious, or maybe you're a philanthropist and you just want to give us a whole bunch of money. I mean, we more than welcome you. So, was there anything else that you wanted to cover, Yelka, or was there any questions that popped up? I feel like we haven't had too many that I've seen. So
No,
okay,
I think that's great. I will give updates every once in a while, right? Of how's it
yeah,
going?
yeah. Well, oh yeah. So for the members of my channel, that's probably where I'm going to be updating this. It's $1.99 to be a channel member supporter, not just a subscriber. And I always put any research from my videos that I've done. I put the links there. Plus, I sometimes put like little quizzes or interesting articles that I've found that are adjacent to what we're talking about on the channel. But it's only $1.99 a month, and basically after taxes and fees, it's each person's like $1.30 that I can count on, and that adds up very quickly. And it's just kind of an insured revenue. And so I really do appreciate those of you who've chosen to do that, but no pressure. I don't like being a gatekeeper. So the information will be available if you look. You'll just have to come to the Discord or come to our website. But for members, I'll definitely be keeping you guys in the loop with members posts as things are developing and as we take on new projects or new partners and are working on new things. So just another little incentive there. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. But Yelka, thank you so much for coming and for chatting with us. It's always great. You and your brother are incredible, kind, and generous people, and doing really good work. That it's just always really fun to chat with you guys and see what you're up to. You guys are a dynamic duo between the two of you. So
Thank you, and so are you. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much, mods, lurkers, members, new people, old people, middle-aged people. No. Thanks for being here. Take care of your critters, take care of your plants, take care of the people around you, and of course, take care of yourself, because if you don't do that, you can't take care of the other things. So, yeah. All right, guys, have a great night. And I like to always let my guest have the very last word. So you're going to send us off, Yelka, and that'll be that. I guess I don't have surgery this week now. It's next week. Just found this out now. So I'll be around for my viewers. I'll be around later in the week. I'll probably be posting videos for another week. So yay, I guess. All right.
Okay.
Over to you, Yelka.
My final words are just I welcome you into the Discord. You're actually going to chat with me. I will say hello, welcome. Please introduce yourself in the Introduce Yourself channel so that we know who you are. And let's start the conversation. Let's make a change. Let's fund all these projects that need funding, that never would get funding otherwise. Thanks, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.